Hello everyone, this is Dr. Clark in the Center for Weight Loss Success, and I want to do a quick little video on kind of what I'll call one of the most important pieces of exercise equipment that you can own. Obviously we harp on exercise all the time. I think everyone ought to do it. I encourage everybody to do both cardio and some weight training. But is there one piece of equipment that I think everyone should own? And the answer is yes, there is. And what is that one piece of equipment? It's a heart rate monitor. Heart rate monitor, because this is one of the things that can measure, give you a good estimate of kind of how kind of fit you are, as well as it can give you a good monitor of your exercise intensity. And as you get more fit, you want to kind of bump up that exercise intensity. That's where we make the best fitness gains. And so one of the most common misconceptions of exercise is that as you kind of get into exercise that you need to exercise longer. And I often say, well, I go to the gym for a half hour and I'm going to try to go up to an hour. Well, the reality is we don't have time to do all these things. So to sit in the gym for an hour and a half is unrealistic. Well, the big misconception there is thinking you need to exercise longer. You don't. You need to exercise more intensely. You can actually shorten your exercise time and subsequently then get more out of your exercise. How do you actually measure that? Well, heart rate monitor is probably one of the best things you can get. Now, there are a number of options out there. Just about everybody's heard of Fitbit. Fitbit's a good option. And you wear it on your wrist. Obviously, it can measure kind of steps and things like that. It can do a number of different things. It can connect to your computer. They're pretty fancy. They're pretty nice. As heart rate monitors go, they're okay. Okay? What I mean by that is it typically works really well for when you're just doing normal everyday things. The potential problem with a monitor that just sits on your wrist is that as you get more intense in your exercise, as your heart rate goes up, it becomes less accurate. And so subsequently then it doesn't work quite as well as a monitor that actually is a chest-worn monitor, such as one of these things right here. You place it on your chest, you wear it on your chest, and then your receiver is on your wrist, or it can be on your phone too. Most of these heart rate monitor places that have chest straps will actually monitor or will connect to your phone with a simple app. This one happens to be Polar. It's been around for a long period of time. You can get these things on Amazon. You get them just about anywhere. Relatively inexpensive. You can find them for $30 or so. You can also pay close to $1,000 for them too. There's no reason to do that. What you want it to do is measure your heart rate, and you want it to do it fairly accurately and consistently. And so I like the chest monitor ones myself, and it's because it's very simple to use and it's pretty accurate. If you're working out, you can just glance down at your wrist, you've got it right there, as opposed to I've got to find it on my phone. And looking at that, especially if you're using your phone for listening to music or watching something so I do like the chest strap one. It's more accurate. It does give you more consistent heart rate on there. Now, when we talk about heart rate and intensity, what we're really talking about is the higher your heart rate goes, the more intense your exercise tends to be. Now, there's a good method of kind of looking at what you should be your maximum heart rate. And just as a generality, what we typically use is that anyone's heart rate max is around 220 minus your age. So if you're 40 years old, then 220 minus your age, 220 minus 40 is 180. So in theory would be your heart rate max. Now that is good to around 10%. There can be a 10% error in there, that as more fit you get, you may be able to get your heart rate up even higher than that. The older we get, we tend not to be able to get our heart rates up as high. But it is something that gives you a good estimate of intensity. So if your heart rate max then is supposed to be 180, then you're kind of looking at kind of where is that intensity there? Well, the closer you get to that heart rate max, the more intense your exercise tends to be. And typically when you're getting close to your heart rate max, you're gasping for air. Okay, you can't do kind of that intense exercise for that long a period of time. And that's where kind of high intensity interval training comes in, is where we drive that heart rate up near max and then let it drift back down. We go back and forth. And you can get a really intense exercise in a very short period of time. We've got a few videos on our site. We encourage people to use those. They're 20-minute workouts. I encourage use a heart rate monitor. I'm going to talk about next, in our next little video, very likely is what I'll call the fallacy of the fat burning zone. And again, it's using your heart rate, but looking at, we often talk about, burning fat, and we want to be in the fat burning zone. And I'm going to talk about the fallacy of that. Questions, comments, post them below. Other things you want us to talk about, just give us a yell. Okay, post them below as well. Have a good day, everyone. Take care.